Welcome. In this video, we are going to be going over closing entries. Now, in this textbook, there are 4 closing entries. There are other systems to do closing entries, which involve less journal entries. But please make sure that you are reviewing course-approved resources because in this course, we will only be using the 4-entry system. Okay. So what are closing entries? The main purpose of closing entries is to close out our temporary accounts. As a reminder from what you read in your textbook, our temporary accounts are our revenues. So in this case, we have one revenue account here, service revenue, and also our expenses. So all of those expenses, and then also our drawing account. So our goal is going to be to close out our revenues, expenses, and our drawing account to give it a balance of 0 for next year. So for these 4 closing entries, let's do a quick review about what our 4 closing entries are supposed to accomplish. Number 1, we are going to close all of our revenue accounts to a special account called income summary. Our second closing entry will close all of our expense accounts to that special income summary account. Number 3, we will be closing our income summary account to our capital account. And number 4, sorry, something's in the way when I'm recording. Number 4, we are going to close our drawing account. Let's keep it consistent. Drawing account, again, to capital. All right, so 4 closing entries: close revenue, close expenses, close income summary, close drawing. So let's take a look at this first one. When we close our revenue account has a credit balance, a normal credit balance of $101,500. To close that, we have to debit. Let's go ahead, start our journal entry, 20x2. Second, let's redo that one real quick. Make it a little bit more legible. 2031x2. There we go. So first things first, to close this out to a balance of 0, we have to do the opposite. So we're trying to drag this down to a balance of 0. So we are going to debit service revenue. So service revenue debit for $101,500. Now, again, remember this, close to income summary. Whatever this thing after the 2 is in each of these, this is going to tell us what our quote unquote plug is. So whatever we have to do to make these entries balance is what we're going to plug it to, right? So here we have a debit of $101,500. Well, I know in order to make this balance, I better have a credit of $101,500. So I'm going to credit that to income summary. Now our first closing entry, here's number 1, complete. Number 2, we need to close our expenses to income summary. Okay, our expense accounts here, a lot of expense accounts, these are all debit balances. So in order to close them, we have to credit them. So remember, I want to bring all of these to a balance of 0, so I'm going to do the opposite to close them. Now, as you know, debits come first, so I'm going to skip a line for my plug later, and I'm going to write out all of my expense accounts. Who made this? So many expense accounts. Salaries expense, $38,800. Rent expense, $7,000. look at me. Give me a second. Goodbye. Sorry, credit. 38,800 and 7,000. All right, we have some more. We have insurance expense. I'm just going to check these off as I grab them. Closed. Insurance expense for 15,000. Check. Depreciation expense. Check. Utilities expense. $3,000. Another 3,000. Threw me off for a second. And one more supplies expense for 300. All right, now this is where we have to come up with our plug. So we have all of these different credits, right? So first things first, we need to see what's the total of our credit side. Bear with me, let me grab a calculator. Here, we'll put it over here. All right, so let's add up all those. 38,800 plus 7,000 plus 15,000 plus 3,000 plus 3,000 plus 300. So the total of all of our credits equals 67,100. So that is going to be our debit plug. And as we see down here, we are plugging that to income summary. All right, that's entry number 2. Just so you can have that for your notes. All right, closing entry number 3. Here is where we have to close our income summary account. Now, in order to do this, we need to know the balance in income summary. So let's do your favorite. Let's do a T account. We see here that income summary, we credited it for 101,500, and then we debited it for 67,100. So in order to find the balance, keep in mind this is a T account, so our debits are going to offset our credits. So we are going to subtract. Let's get our calculator back. That's 101,500 minus 67,100. So that means we have a 34,400 credit balance, right? Whichever side is bigger. I already forgot the number. 34,400. So this is the balance in the account. We need to close out that balance. So in order for us to do that, we are going to have to debit that balance. Now, when we debit it, that'll bring it to a balance of 0, and that will help us close our income summary. So let's debit income summary. Sorry, let me adjust this a little bit. Income summary by 34,400. And that's it for closing. Let's see what we closed to. We closed to capital, and our capital account is Ashley B, capital. And just make them equal. That's number 3. All right. Last one. Our last one, we have to close our drawing account. Let's find our drawing. Here's our drawing account, 2,500. It's a debit balance. Keep in mind, this is a contra capital account, so it's a debit normal balance. In order to close it, we have to credit it. So let's skip a line. Let's credit that Ashley B drawing. And 2,500. Okay. And that's it for the closing part. What do we close it to? Capital. And that's it for number 4. So those are your 4 closing entries. Keep in mind, we are closing all of our temporary accounts to a balance of 0. That lets us start fresh next period. We are also updating the capital account here. Keep in mind, capital goes up by net income, which is revenues minus expenses. So that amount that we're closing to capital, that is us increasing capital by net income. Capital also goes down by drawing. So here we are decreasing it by that drawing account. So up by net income, down by drawing. We are essentially doing full circle what you learned on your statement of owner's equity back in chapter 1, probably. Okay, that's all for closing entries, but if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to reach out to a tutor or your professor. Keep up the good work.